الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله آت محمدا الوسيلة والفضيلة والبعث المقام محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونتوب إليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا صلى الله عليه وسلم عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وترك على المحجة البيضاء ليلها كنهارها لا يزيغ عنها إلا هالك صلوات ربي وسلامه عليه وعلى آله وصحبه الطيبين الطاهرين ومن سار على نهجه واقتفى أثره إلى يوم الدين. الحمد لله الذي أحسن كل شيء خلقه وبدأ خلق الإنسان من طين وأدب محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم فأحسن تأديبه وهو القائل في محكم التنزيل أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإنك لعلى خلق عظيم. All praise and thanks are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Peace and blessings of Allah be upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We bear witnesses that there is no one worthy of being worshipped except Allah and that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is his servant and his final messenger, sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to perfect the highest levels of manners and morals. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send his peace and blessings upon him, upon his companions and all of his righteous and true followers until the day of judgment. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those who are on the straight path, the path that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen for his prophets and messengers, and those whom upon he bestowed his mercy. I begin with a verse in the Holy Quran in Surah Al-Tahrim, precisely, whereabout Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states, يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا وقودها الناس والحجارة عليها ملائكة غلاظ شداد لا يعصون الله ما أمرهم ويفعلون ما يؤمرون. O you who believe, guard and protect yourselves and your household members, your family members, from what? قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا, from a fire. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the beginning left the word fire as it is without making it definite. Then afterwards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes further and He says, وَقُودُهَا النَّاسُ وَالْحِجَارَةُ, the fuel of which are people and rocks. And then عَلَيْهَا مَلَائِكَةٌ غِلَاظٌ شِدَادٌ, meaning that this fire, the fuel of which are people and rocks, is actually guarded by angels that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put for that task. Angels who are stern, strong and capable, and they do not disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's command. وَيَفْعَلُونَ مَا يُؤْمَرُونَ, and they do as they are commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's a hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that I'd like to bring in here to explain this ayah and the great and amazing effect that the parents could have in the upbringing and the life of their children. And that hadith is كل مولود يولد على الفطرة فأبواه يهودانه أو ينصرانه أو يمجسانه إلى آخر الحديث. That every child is born on the pure fitra. What is the pure fitra? The pure fitra, the pure nature, is that if the child is left alone without any external influences, the child will grow up as a what? Not as an atheist. The child will not grow up as a Buddhist or worshipping an idol. No, the child will grow on the pure fitra that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instilled in him or her, and that is the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, subhanallah. Naam. And the parents, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is explaining in this ayah, He is commanding the parents to protect themselves and their household members, which includes their children, from what? From the hellfire. My brothers and sisters in Islam, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is commanding the parents to do so, to protect and guard and shield their children from the hellfire, it means that you as a father, you as a mother, you have a great level of effect. You have a great influence in the life of your children. Now let's go back to about 25 years ago. The elements that used to influence the life of a child here in Canada, North America, 25 years ago, were what? Al-Manzil, or the family, the school, and then what? The society, which included what? Of course, peers and friends, the masjid or the place of worship, okay? And now after moving or fast forwarding 25 years after the social media surfaced, or after the, subhanAllah, the flood of social media taking over the world. And probably you're wondering, didn't social media exist all the time? The youngsters who are here, who are probably 20 or younger, we had times that we didn't have Facebook. There were times that we did not have Instagram or Snapchat and all their alike. We didn't have them, yes. Yes. 25 years ago, they did not exist. But nowadays, my brothers and sisters in Islam, they have, we can say this much, that they have invaded every household. They are there in your bedroom, they are there in your living room, they are there, excuse my language, in your washroom, they are there in the bus, when you're walking to school, when you're driving to work. They are with you everywhere you go, everywhere you travel. people are scrolling and posting day in and out. And subhanAllah, sometimes as soon as we wake up in the morning, the first thing you do is what? You start scrolling. Isn't that true? So, in other words, again, fast forwarding 25 years from year 2000, let's say, right, to coming today. Now the studies shows that, my brothers and sisters in Islam, things or elements that are influencing the life of the children here in Canada, in North America, and probably everywhere in the world. Now some of these elements, my brothers and sisters, have been checked off, meaning that they are no longer there. And believe it or not, that the place of worship is X'd out. Now, in some societies, in some communities, the place of worship is being X'd out. It's no longer there. The school influence is there, but it's not on the top. Guess what is on the top now? On the top of the list now is the social media. On top of the list are friends. But guess what, my brothers and sisters in Islam? Friends who are not the friends of our children in the real world. Virtual friends. Friends that they are talking with, and they're chatting with, and they are interacting with, they're playing games with. Like one of the parents said, subhanAllah, one night she knows that her son is, I don't want to use the word game addict or gaming addict, but he plays, subhanAllah, these games on, all these gadgets nowadays, the Xbox 5 and whatever, and then, you have the PS5 and all these gaming gadgets. She did not know, she was not aware. This is, by the way, a parent, a mother who is university educated. She didn't know that these gadgets actually are now connected online. That kids actually play with one another, with friends online. She walks into his room and reminding him that it's late, it's time to go to sleep. And then a few minutes later, she starts hearing him in the room, shouting. Like, target that one, target that one. Oh, do this, do that. So she comes back and she starts wondering, like, are you okay? Are you fine? What's happening? For a moment, she thought that he was what? That he was talking to himself. And then she starts having conversation with him, and she finds out that she was actually playing with virtual friends. They actually meet, they have a meeting time, they get together, where? Online. Virtual friends that he have never met. Tamam? So this is just a glimpse of reality. Friends, right? And I'm not going to get into the content of the social media, because now, subhanAllah, social media, and they have done a study, by the way, about this, about Instagram and TikTok, and that, subhanAllah, they have done some sort of, subhanAllah, a study, and a group of adults pretended to be teenagers, 12, 13 years old teenagers, and they opened accounts to see what are they going to be seeing, or what are they going to be encountering. And believe it or not, within a few minutes of opening the social media account, and after that they put their age and their gender and whatnot, they started getting, subhanAllah, one of the most content that was basically being suggested to these, pretending teens. Do you want to guess what it was? It was not anything sexual. It was about self-image and suicide. Yes. نعم. عن الانتحار وعن الشكل عن المظاهر. So it was, subhanAllah, all about, they are trying to basically target the teens who are basically obsessed with their appearance, and also about suicide. Yes. This is what goes on social media. Now probably, we might be wondering, yani, subhanAllah, what's the point of bringing this up, right? Yani, why are we talking about this? It's just the beginning of our summer vacation. Why do we have to deal with these kind of complex subjects or challenges? Why? Because this is the time to do it. This is the right time to tackle this, because our children are now in the midst of the summer break or the summer vacation. They have about 8 to 9 weeks of time that needs to be filled with something that is beneficial. Otherwise, they are going to fill this time with a lot of harmful things, and not necessarily physically. It could be damaging mentally. It could be damaging otherwise. It could be damaging their faith. It could be damaging their relationships, the way that they interact with people. And I quote a hadith of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and let's listen to this carefully. The Prophet ﷺ says, نِعْمَتَانِ مَغْبُونٌ فِيهِمَا كَثِيرٌ مِّنَ النَّاسِ. There are two blessings that the vast majority of people are, as they say in Arabic, maghboonin. What is ghabn? Ghabn, there's a surah in the Quran that's called Surah At-Taghabun. What's Taghabun? Or what is ghabn? Ghabn means ghish. It means basically cheated. Meaning that you do not know the value of the commodity or the item that you have in hand. You don't know the value of it. You're taking it for granted. Something that is worth, for example, thousands of dollars, you don't even give it the value of $1, right? This is ghabn. So what are the two things or the two elements or blessings that the Prophet ﷺ is saying that the vast majority of people actually do not know the value of? And that includes everyone, includes adults, includes youth, includes males and females. As-sihha wal-faragh. Two. Number one is health and wellness, and number two is free time. The common slang term that we have amongst us or amongst the youth is what? Let's go kill some time, right? Let's go kill some time. And the time is being killed either online or is being killed in coffee shops, on streets. And again, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be going out and having fun and chilling with your friends. That's not what I'm suggesting here. What I'm trying to say is that you got to know the value of this time that you have, especially as a young man, as a young woman, as a teenage. You got to know that what you have in hand is precious, it's very valuable. Your health and your time, and especially the time that you got no obligations, no school, no commitments. It's a very valuable thing. You got to make sure that you understand how precious this ni'mah, this blessing is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As-sihhatu wal-faragh. And guess what? If one is absent, let's say you have so much freedom of time, but you're not healthy, you won't be able to do anything. And the other way around as well. If you're healthy and well, but you don't have the time, what's going to happen? Again, you won't be able to do anything. So they go hand in hand together, and you have both of them. Now going back to the social media, my brothers and sisters in Islam, the question is, what can we do about it? As parents, as community leaders, even the young mentors who might be listening to this speech or this khutbah. How can we basically address this issue of social media addiction? Can we eliminate it completely? The answer is no. There's no way. There's no way. And there have been parents that, subhanAllah, they thought that they controlled their children, and guess what? They found out later on that instead of one account or one Instagram account, he or she has what? 7, 8, 9, 10 other accounts. Fake names, fake. And of course, we live in a fake world, right? So, how to address it? To begin with, my brothers and sisters in Islam, the first thing that we have to think about, which is very crucial and important, and that is at-tarbiyah wa ta'lim. There is a line of wisdom that goes, لَعِبْهُ سَبْعًا وَأَدِّبْهُ سَبْعًا وَصَاحِبْهُ سَبْعًا. The 7 or the 7 golden sevens. I'm not talking about the what's called the lottery or the casino machine, right? This is the real golden sevens, 3 sevens that we're talking about, and that subhanallah, the scholars have divided the age of a child into 3 7-year stages. The first 7 years, we are encouraged, subhanallah, we are recommended not only by subhanallah, by scholars, but actually by the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, such as Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhu, who used to be seen from time to time, even in his khilafah. He was seen, subhanallah, on his hands and knees, playing with his grandchildren. Yes. Yes. And by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was the coolest friend of the children. He was. This is a reality. So, the first 7 years, you got to make sure that you build that powerful, strong bond with your children, boys or girls. In the second 7 years, now you got to make sure that you are what? You are doing the tarbiyah. You are basically teaching them the principles, because now he's aware, he understands, or she understands, right? Waqt al-ta'deeb. And that is when they will reach the age of puberty. Khalas. Now they're about to get into the third golden stage, or the third golden 7 years, which is the age of puberty leading to the age of young adulthood. In that 7 years, this is what we do a lot of times, my brothers and sisters. And I am one of those parents who have gone into that, or who have fallen into that mistake. That is when we expect to do damage control. That is when we expect our daughters to wear hijab. That is when we start thinking that my son, that I don't know anything about, I don't know what school did he go to, I didn't even know which grade he is in, I expect him to now be what? The angel child. It's too late. It is too late. That is the age, the third 7 years, from the age basically 14 or 15 to the early 20s. That is the age that you need what? You need to be buddies with each other. You need to be the friend of your son and your daughter. You need to be going out on dates with them. Yes, this is true. Otherwise, there's no way to do it. There's no way to do it. Education. It's very, very crucially important. At-ta'lim. And when we say about education, we're not talking about sending your child to school. We're not talking about, making sure that he's in a good high school. We're not talking about making sure that, that they go to a good college. No. Here we're talking about what? Foundations. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke about Luqman al-Hakim, Luqman, the wise man. Why was he given that title of wisdom? Because of the advices that he rendered to his son. وَإِذْ قَالَ لُقْمَانُ لِابْنِهِ وَهُوَ يَعِظُهُ يَا بُنَيَّ لَا تُشْرِكْ بِاللَّهِ. That was the first advice he gave to his son. And that is the advice, or that is basically what you need to work on with your children first and foremost. And that is what? Making sure that they have the foundation, that they understand that there's only one God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the foundation. If that is not there, anything you do, it's gone down the drain. Inna shirka la dhulmun azim. And then after that, he goes on and he says, Ya bunayya, إنها إن تكن مثقال حبة من خردل فتكن في صخرة أو في السماوات أو في الأرض يأتي بها الله إن الله لطيف خبير. Instilling in the child the meaning of taqwa. We keep hearing about taqwa, that it's fearing God, that it is, no. That's not what it is. Taqwa is not that you wear a good thobe or you look a certain way. That's not taqwa. That's madahir. That's appearance. Taqwa is that you are God conscious, that you are aware. So he's teaching his son or his child to be what? To be aware that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with him. That is the taqwa that you need to teach and pass to your children. They need to understand. Because let's be frank with each other. As parents, you cannot monitor your children 24 hours a day and 7 days, even if you have the best monitoring system. Even if you work for CSIS. Reality. You can't. You cannot do that. And you're not supposed to do that. Because that's not our job. My job and your job is to what? To guide them and empower them. Empower them. And this is one of the tools that they need of empowerment. خشية الله سبحانه وتعالى ومراقبة الله سبحانه وتعالى. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can bring even something that is basically equal to the weight of a mustard seed. Whether it is in the land, whether it's in the trees, whether it's in the heavens or the earth, Allah will bring it forth. Meaning that Allah is Latif Khabir. He is all aware. He knows every little detail. Even what you think about. Your parents don't know what you're thinking about. Nobody knows. They can speculate, right? So this is the second thing in education. Instilling the relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, knowing that Allah is watchful, subhanallah. That's taqwa. And then, يا بني أقم الصلاة وأمر بالمعروف وانهى عن المنكر. Then, واصبر على ما أصابك إن ذلك من عزم الأمور. Establish the prayer. Why? Why is it so important? Because prayer is that thing that prepares you for difficulties and hardship. يا أيها المزمل قم الليل إلا قليلا نصفه أو انقص. لماذا؟ إنا سنلقي عليك قولا ثقيلا. You got to make sure that you maintain your prayers, young men and women who are here. Make sure that you do not mess around with your prayer. No matter what happens, make sure anywhere you are, in the school, in the library, in the camp, wherever you are, make sure that you do your prayer on time. Why? Because that is the gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that you can stay connected with Him. That's it. And always be the ambassador of good. Do good and enjoin good. Tell others to do good. Encourage others to do good. And stay away from the evil. And when you see someone else doing evil, try to prevent it and stop it to the best of your ability. And know, as Luqman said to his son, be aware that when you choose this path, when you are trying to stand up for the truth and the haqq, guess what? You will be always what? Targeted. You will be targeted. They will be after you. There will be people who are criticizing you. They will be, So you got to be ready with patience and strength. And then the akhlaq, the manners, very important. Make sure that you respect yourself, respect people around you, respect everyone. Doesn't matter whether they are Muslim or non-Muslim. ولا تصعر خدك للناس ولا تمشي في الأرض مرحا إن الله لا يحب كل مختال فخور واقصد في مشيك واغضض من صوتك. And the most important part of the education is that we need to learn, my young brothers and sisters, we need to learn how to live a balanced life. Approach everything in a balanced manner. That is the very important thing to do, inshallah ta'ala. أقول ما تسمعون واستغفر الله لي ولكم والسلام من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على عبادي الذين اصطفى ثم ما بعد. Because of the time restraint, my brothers and sisters, I'm just going to inshallah ta'ala wrap it up quickly. Another important point in our path to basically maintain and help our children and our youth with this wave of social media is, subhanallah, that we need to set a good example for our children. Because having role models, especially when they are teenagers, it's subhanallah, it's a need, it's a necessity, and it's a desire. Ask every young man and woman, they will tell you, this guy looks cool, this lady looks cool, this soccer player or this basketball player or this basically singer is my role model. It's a reality, okay? But the question is, as parents, as mentors and leaders of the youth in our communities, how can I be that? How can I set a good example and be a role model, right? So the first thing you got to make sure that your children or those that you're mentoring, they're amazed by you. Meaning that you're good in yourself, that they're amazed by you, and that they love you. This is the second thing, that they are in love with you. When I say in love with you, that means not the natural love that a child has for his parents or her parents. No. Natural love, everybody has it. Every child loves their mommy and daddy. That's a given. But we're talking about what? Here we are talking about mahabbat al-i'jab. Exactly the way that, subhanAllah, even the enemies of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, they were in love with him. People who didn't know him, they fell in love with the Prophet ﷺ. Why? Because of his akhlaq, because of his characteristics, because of how good of an example he set. And if your children love you and they are amazed by you because of your characteristics, because you are setting good example, then what? They will take you as a role model. That's it. You're the winner. You're the winner. Indeed. And I will conclude, inshallah ta'ala, with how important it is, my brothers and sisters, that we follow gradual steps to fix any problem that we have with our youth and children. A quick hadith of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ that I'll conclude with. ما روي أن عمر ibn Abi Salama رضي الله عنه وارضاه كان غلاما في حجر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. Umar ibn Abi Salama, the stepson of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, the son of Salama رضي الله عنها وارضاها, the wife of the Prophet ﷺ. He was a young child, okay? In a nutshell, he didn't know the manners of sitting and eating. To put it like briefly in a nutshell, he did not know how to eat properly, right? His hands were wandering all over. He didn't remember to say Bismillah, and he didn't know that he's supposed to be eating with his right hand. So the Prophet ﷺ did not yell at him. He did not embarrass him. He did not tell him, don't do that, don't do that. What did he tell him? The Prophet ﷺ, very gently and lovingly, he corrected him and taught him what is right. One of the biggest problems we have is that we keep telling our children, don't do. This is haram, this is haram, this is haram, that's haram. No. Tell them what is halal. Tell them what can they do. So the Prophet ﷺ told this young boy, he told him, Ya ghulam, gently, oh young boy, Sammillah. That's the first thing. Remember the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before everything you do. وَكُلْ بِيَمِينِكَ, eat with your right hand. وَكُلْ مِمَّا يَلِيكَ, and eat from that which is in front of you. Don't jump over and take something from in front of other people. The conclusion, this young boy who was probably at that time 10 or 11 years old, you know what did he say? He said, فَمَا زَالَتْ تِلْكَ طَعْمَتِي بَعْدِ. He said, that moment was the moment that the Prophet ﷺ basically nailed it right. He said that was my habit after that, from that day on. And in other words, he took the advice of the Prophet ﷺ with an open heart. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ did it right. He did it in the right time, the right moment, and in the right manner. So it stayed with him forever. صلوا على الرسول الكريم والمبعوث رحمة للعالمين فقد أمركم الله بذلك في كتابه الكريم فقال عز من قائل إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل وسلم وبارك وانعم على عبدك ورسولك محمد وارض اللهم عن الأربعة الخلفاء الأئمة الحنفاء أبي بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي وسائر صحابة نبيك أجمعين وعنا معهم بفضلك وكرمك وإحسانك يا رب العالمين. اللهم اعز الاسلام والمسلمين واذل الشرك والمشركين واحمي حوزه الاسلام والدين يا رب العالمين. اللهم انصر من نصر الدين واخذل من خذل الدين. اللهم انصر اخواننا واخواتنا المستضعفين في ارض فلسطين وانصرهم على عدوك وعدوهم اجمعين يا رب العالمين. اللهم انصرهم نصرا مؤزرا من عندك. اللهم تقبل شهداهم وارحم موتاهم وداوي جرحاهم واشف مرضاهم واطعم جوعاهم. اللهم آوي شريدهم يا رب العالمين. اللهم فك اسراهم. اللهم كن معهم ولا تكن عليهم يا رب العالمين. اللهم إنا نسألك أن تحفظهم بحفظك وتكلهم برعايتك وعنايتك. اللهم احرسهم بعينك التي لا تنام واحفظهم بكنفك الذي لا يضام. اللهم احفظنا واحفظ أولادنا. اللهم احفظنا واحفظ شبابنا. اللهم احفظنا واحفظ فتياتنا يا رب العالمين. احفظنا وإياهم من الفواحش والشرور ومضلات الفتن ما ظهر منها وما بطن إنك على كل شيء قدير وبالإجابة جدير. عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون وقوموا إلى صلاتكم.
Assalamu alaikum. Before I do the iqama, I beg